Hello, Christ Church. Paul Fowler, Lake Forest campus pastor. Glad to be in our last week here sharing about the devotional, the good news and the hope of the Christmas story. I hope you've been able to take the chance to walk it through every day, maybe with family or maybe with a small group or just by yourself. And what we've been doing is we're trying to see how everything that comes before the birth of Christ and everything that comes after really shows us how special and important this birth is and what this child is really going to come to do. So much of the Christmas story often is just found in a couple chapters, and it's Jesus' birth, and then we move on. But there are so many small details as you build up to this story. There's so many important parts even after it that help us know all of this great story for the good news and the hope of the Christmas story. Last week, we actually talked about the birth of Jesus Christ, and so now we're really digging through all the details that come after the story of the birth. Now, it's not December 25th yet, so still next week we'll be celebrating Jesus' birth. But why we're doing this is there are so many important details that come after that really are helpful as we try to understand the big picture here. If you're reading the story this weekend, you were reading the story in Luke chapter 2. That's our text today, verse 16 through 18. You were reading about how the shepherds saw these angels come to them and say, hey, good news. There is a child born today in the city of Bethlehem. And so the angels tell them actually how to find this child, and so they head off on their way to find the child. But what's so interesting about what happens in our passage today, verse 16 through 18, is what they do next. We find this in verse 17. When they had seen him, so this is the shepherds, when they had seen Jesus, they spread the word concerning what had been told about this child. And verse 18, all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. So there's a few things happening. First, it's by no coincidence that the angels are going to shepherds. Now, yes, the shepherds weren't the most important people in society, but Jesus, this child that they came to see, this birth is being announced because Jesus would show himself to be a shepherd. He would show himself to be someone who cares for and loves and sacrifices his life for the flock, for the sheep, which is us. But what's so great that we see these shepherds do is they go and tell others. They know that this is not good news that they have to keep for themselves, and they shouldn't keep it for themselves. They need to go tell others about the great things that are happening in this story. And no one had to tell them to do that. Think about your own story. How are you this year celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ? Who came into your life and said, this good news is too much for me to keep to myself? I want to tell you about it. And why this is important is because I want you to take some time to reflect today and think, who is the person that you need to tell about this story? The shepherds are showing us this is not a story we keep to ourselves. The good news and the hope of the Christmas story is not that you know, but that you know and you go tell somebody else the good news. Take some time to think about someone that you can pray for and share this good news with today.